Hey, what's up everybody? Prospector here with Watcher Realms. Today we're here to check out Rygar, the new Nightmare Faction Lord. He has a somewhat complicated kit, but he is relatively easy to use. But anyways, without further ado, let's dig in. Alright guys, before we get too far into this, I want to let you know that only 30% of my viewers are subscribed to the channel. I want to ask if you enjoy this content or would like to see more content like this, please go ahead and like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when I release new videos. Anyways, let's dig in here. Alright, so we have Rygar. He is a Nightmare Faction Lord. He is also a fighter, and he's actually a decent fighter. A lot of the lords in the game are not actually very good units themselves. They provide awesome lord bonuses, but when you put them on the field, they just don't always do a good job. Rygar is going to be one of those units that is going to do a decent job and provide a nice lord bonus. Now, as far as I am aware, this unit is an ancient exclusive lord, which means you can only get this lord by using the ancient summoning crystals. You cannot pick him up on the normal summons like you can with Torodor. Being a Nightmare Lord, he has the advantage of being paired with some of the best units in the game. A lot of the Nightmare Faction heroes are relatively easy to get, and they are all pretty much very strong. So having that advantage makes him a very good unit to get. People are typically going to have tons of Nightmare units, especially fighters, and they'll be able to put him to very good use. But he does have a little bit of a caveat in his kit, and I'll explain that in a little bit here. Now, as far as the Lord bonus goes, Torodor himself has the attribute increase for faction team members by 15%. He also has the, every time a faction team member is deployed, all deployed faction team members gain 5, 10, 20, and 35% attack speed respectively, up to 35%. However, their healing received is reduced by 15%, and that is all the same on Rygar as well. But on Torodor, faction team members' basic attack has a 30% chance of landing an extra hit. 30% chance on a bunch of Nightmare units that hit really fast to begin with is a lot, okay? That is actually a very good chance. It's going to be very hard to compete with. Now, what is Rygar's buff? When Rygar is the Lord and the ultimate is triggered, faction team members gain buffs. Basic attack damage increases by 25%, and each basic attack restores 3% HP. The applied buffs last until the end of the ultimate. Now, this would be, just from reading it, I could tell that it's going to be hard to make this as equal to Torodor's Lord skill, especially if you're not keeping Torodor on the field. Okay, so if you're not going to be keeping your Nightmare Lord on the field, then definitely Rygar is not the go-to for you. You're going to want to use Torodor instead. But if you would like to use your Lord on the field as well, Rygar can do a really good job. He has a lot of good things in his kit, and we're going to go over that right now. With that Lord ability, he has to have his ultimate going for them to even have any kind of advantage for his Lord skill to even kick in. So he needs to have his ult going in order for them to get that increased basic attack damage. Kind of a tough caveat to deal with, but he does deal damage as well. So let's go into the attributes and check out his total stats here. For HP, we're looking at 28k base. This is a very nice base HP, which is kind of becoming common for units these days in the Nightmare Faction. Then we have attack at 6223, defense is 2136. Magic res is 477, cost is 19. That's very average. Actually, it's a little higher. A lot of the fighters are coming out now with, I want to say, roughly 17 cost, but he is a Lord. So block is 2, normal. Redeployment time is 60, that's normal. Attack interval is 1.5, attack speed is 100. Crit damage is 150, healing effect 0, rage regen 0. Auto is 13, basic attack is 10 rage, and then attacked is 5 rage. It's pretty standard stuff. I think on the high end you can get like the 14 on the rage regen auto, but he's fine with the 13. There's not really a big difference. On to the skills. We will start off with the talent. Hammer attack has a 20% chance to inflict stun on the target. That stun is going to last for 1 second, so it should be good enough for Semra, and while axe attack has a 20% chance to inflict defense reduction, and that is going to be a minus 20% defense reduction. Now this makes it seem like there's going to be some RNG in which one's going to hit, and I question how often that defense reduction is going to keep up, so that is something that we are going to test. On the basic attack, it is a physical damage attack, has a 40% chance to attack with the hammer and deal 120% damage, a 40% chance to attack with the axe and deal 120% damage, and a 20% chance to use Warlord's Might, dealing 120% damage 2 times. Okay, so every time he hits, there's going to be a 40% chance to use his hammer, or he's going to use his axe at another 40% chance, or there's a 20% chance that he's going to use Warlord's Might. That is, I'm trying to sum it up to be a little more less confusing, if you would. But another way to put it would be he has a 20% chance to use Warlord's Might and an 80% chance to use either his hammer or his axe for 120% damage. But what's Warlord's Might? Warlord's Might attacks with 2 weapons simultaneously and has a chance to trigger talent effects. So you can see he has 2 different weapons. He has the axe and he has the hammer. He doesn't usually attack with them both. He'll hit with one, and when he does Warlord's Might, he hits with both. So that's kind of how it works. The hammer stuns, the axe puts defense reduction out. Kind of makes sense. Blunt hit, and then an axe cut would probably reduce your defense, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, on the brute strength, Warlord's Might ignores 20% of the target's defense. When Warlord's Might is triggered, increases attack by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So now he has a attack percentage boost going on into his kit, but in order for it to start to stack, he needs to trigger Warlord's Might. And as we saw, he has a 20% chance on each attack to do so. And with a 2.6 attack interval, it's probably going to be hard to keep that really stacking really high unless you have some really nice lucky RNG. On to the next passive is Calloused Hands. Every 60 seconds, resist 1 instance of damage. When triggered, increases damage by 25% for 15 seconds. Each time the hero deals damage, reduces the cooldown of this effect by 1 second. Now the way this is going to roughly equate is that within 30 to 40 seconds, if you have him at a 1.5 second attack interval, which is very typical for any of the fighters that are at the 2.6 base attack interval, you're probably going to get him to come back to this Calloused Hands passive every 30 to 40 seconds. Because within 20 seconds, he's going to have 30 seconds marked off of this countdown already, and then you got another 30 seconds to go. So it might even be a little bit faster than that. So it's going to be pretty consistent when this is coming out, as long as he's hitting something and doing damage consistently. That's kind of the key. Like if you're looking at him like for GVG or something like that, the issue really lies in is he going to be consistently hitting something in order to get that basically an invulnerable state for 1 hit off of Calloused Hands. Alright, on to the ultimate. Basic attack is turned into Warlord's Might. We've already seen that Warlord's Might is when he attacks with the 2 weapons. It also has the passive here, which is going to ignore 20% of the target's defense when you have it on. Whenever Warlord's Might is triggered, he's also increasing his attack by 5%, stacking up to 3 times. So that should definitely happen when his ultimate is going. But it also doubles the chance of inflicting stun and defense reduction on the targets. He's going to be hitting with both weapons when he does this, and it's going to become a 40% chance to stun and a 40% chance to get defense reduction. For every 3 attacks, triggers an earthquake that deals 300% damage to 1 main target and 70% damage to 5 of the target's nearby enemies. This is worded a little bit weird. I think what it means to say is that it's going to do 70% damage to up to 5 targets surrounding the target that you're hitting. Okay, now we already kind of covered the Lord skill, but just one more thing I want to say. It does have the 15% for basic attributes, the 35% attack speed per faction unit, per faction ally placed on the field, the reduced received healing by 15%, and then when his ult is going, he's going to increase the other heroes' basic attacks by 25%. Not every attack, they're basic attacks. So if you really want to like capitalize on Rygar's Lord ability, you're going to want to choose heroes that when they go into their ultimate, it is still considered a basic attack. So boosting their damage, something along those lines. Sun Wukong is not one that's going to work. His ultimate completely changes his basic attack into something else, and that's why Sylvan Arcana is best for him. But another way to look at it is any hero that is very optimal to be having in Infernal Roar sets is going to definitely get a full benefit from Rygar. Look at it that way. If a hero works in Infernal Roar, Rygar is a good lord to bring along. If not, you don't want to bring Rygar with. He's not going to work with heroes like Kagiri. He's not going to work with heroes like Sun Wukong. The big names, even the new Yuri is not going to work so well with. They do have really powerful basic attacks, but a lot of their damage comes from that ultimate, and he's not going to help boost that ultimate whatsoever. So that's something to keep in mind when trying to decide if you want Rygar or if you want to go for him, or if he's the right choice for your team in whatever situation you're going into. All right, on to the Awakenings. Awakened level 1 is during the ultimate triggers 1 earthquake every 2 attacks instead. So I think it says right here every 3 attacks triggers the earthquake, and now on Awakened level 1 it's going to be it triggers the earthquake every 2 attacks. So 30% more often he's going to have earthquakes coming out on the field. Awakened level 2 is attack plus 300, and of course he has a nice little Lord bonus effect here on his Awakened level 2. Increases faction team members' attack speed by 20. Nothing too crazy. 20 attack speed is pretty negligible if you think about it. There's nothing crazy really going on here. Increases the ultimate's duration by 10 seconds. But you know what that means. That is basically a direct buff to his Lord ability. Because when it starts off, you go back to his ultimate here, it lasts for 25 seconds, and then everybody's basic attack is going to be buffed by 25% for 25 seconds. Well, now with Awakened level 3, everybody's attack is going to be buffed by 25% for 35 seconds. This is a definite major increase in the ability for him to boost the damage of his allies. The Awakened 3 sounds extremely powerful. It's like having 2 bonuses to his Lord effect, essentially. We have the attack speed of 20 right here, and then we have the extra 10 seconds of his 25% increase Lord ability. Now, Awakened level 4 is penetration plus 8%. Always nice to see. It's never too crazy, though, of a difference. Awakened level 5 is increases the maximum stacks of brute strength attack increase by 2. This is the Warlord Mights increase where you get the extra attack buff, and that's going to make it from 15% total maximum up to 25% total attack percentage at a maximum. Obviously, this is going to be very strong as long as you can see this Warlord's Might being triggered that fast. I think it should work pretty well. It's within 10 seconds. It's probably unlikely that it's going to be up there very consistently, but it's definitely going to make a difference. All right, so let's go and see. I want to check out the consistency of that defense reduction. That's the first thing I want to check out. We're going to go into Guild Boss 1 Nightmare or normal mode here. And we're going to just go into the fight. And we're going to put him down, and we're just going to kind of watch and monitor and see how often that stays up. I'm also going to make sure I place 3 other Nightmare units to get him that extra 35% attack speed and see if that makes a difference. Alright, so you're getting a little sneak peek at the Nightmare team that I'm going to be using as a test here as well. So 1, 2, you just gotta put him down, pick him up, and then look at the extra attack boost. Now it says 20%. Now you'll see it says 35% up there. Let's see how often that decreased defense stays up. Now you can see it's definitely not as consistent as Torodor or many others, and it is only a 20%, I'm sorry. But if you activate his ultimate, it should be very consistent. There, it's up. It's up. Missed that time. Got it again. This is probably the consistency that the stuns are probably going to hit at. Now you see now it's just RNG. It's just bad luck. It's a 40% chance, and he still doesn't have it up ever since we stopped hitting it. There it is again. Okay, again. It is just complete RNG. It's either going to be up, or it isn't. So this decreased defense is extremely inconsistent. And I'm assuming that the stuns are as well. It's Speaking of stuns, let's go ahead and check out the stuns in the Guild Boss 2 Semra. I'm just going to put it on Apocalypse 1. That way we can see without having to worry too much about trying to stay alive. Alright, be right back. Alright, so here the team is that we're going to go and bring in here. I'm going to have 4 Nightmare units just to make sure I get that 35% attack boost. And we have a tank in here to make sure that the falling stones don't take us out. Let's just jump in. Make this pretty short and sweet. I'll just go through, I think, just one run through here. Basically, I'm just going to put down the tank over here. Put Fursey here. Elo in here, just to make sure that everybody stays alive. Yes, this will work anyways. Then let's put Rygar down. Salazar. Twyla, that's 20%. And then here comes a Volca. I'll leave Volca out in the field. I can go ahead and put down Carnelian as well. Now, the first time around, I'm just going to go ahead and let him use his normal attack without his ultimate going, and then see how well he does with the stuns. We'll just count how many stuns he gets. Let's see. 2 stuns. 3. RNG, baby. It's right there. Nobody else here is doing stuns. All we have out in the field hitting him is going to be Rygar and Volca. So he's not getting any stuns from anybody else. So let's try it again. Now this time we are going to use that ultimate when it comes around. So let's just go ahead and put our tank down again. Fursey, a little AoE damage reduction. We'll put down Elo in, and we'll put down Leia. And then we'll start placing these guys down. So Rygar, Salazar for the 20%. Twyla for the 20%. And then we're going to go ahead and place down Volca for the 35%. You can see it right there. And we'll get Carnelian down in the field as well. Alright, so let's see what happens here. What are you guys going to think? I'm voting. I'm going to vote 6. I'm going to vote 6. Here it comes. I'm going to activate his ultimate. Ooh, 2, 3, 4. Come on. 5. Ooh, really close to that 6. There's the 6. He's got 7. Oh my. 8. 9. That is respectable. Mad respect right now. Wow. Holy cats. He does get the 9 stacks. So if you do pair him with somebody like Sun Wukong, I mean, that's respectable, hey. That is respectable. Let's see if he can do it twice. Alright, here he comes again. He might just end up taking the boss down. 1, 2. It didn't seem like it was as consistent. Let me try it one more time and then we'll move on here. Again, get that tank. Fursey. Eloin. We'll even put down Leia. Then we want to put down Rygar. Salazar. Gives us the 10%, I think. Yes. Philo will give us the 20, and then Volca will give us the 35. 35% is up. Let's see if we can do it again. It's not just a fluke. Right, here it comes. Right now. So 1 stun, 2, 3, 4. It seems pretty consistent. 5, 6, 7. So between 6 and 9, 6 and 10 probably would be. Oh, he's still got it going. There's 9 right there. 6 and 9, something roughly around there. You just gotta supplement some more stuns in there afterwards. I do have a little thing I want to show you. Torodor also has a stun, so that's something to keep in mind. He also has a increased chance to hit with extra attacks. So I'm going to go ahead and flip Torodor in there, and we will try this again and see how it compares to him. Alright, so we're going to take Rygar out. Let's go with our Toro. Or Steve, as I like to call him. I made a little shorts video once where he came out, and I over the top of it, the Jack Black, where he goes, "I am Steve." It was pretty funny. Oh, here we go. What we got? Okay.
I am Steve.
Anyways, I digress. Let's see here. Our tank. We want to get Percy out. We want to get Eloin. We want to get Leia. And then we're going to go ahead and put down Torodor. Now, Torodor needs to be like within range so you can get the trample going on. And then we'll go ahead and put Twyla, Salazar, and our Volca. That's going to give us the 35% attack speed. And let's see how Torodor does. Now, he doesn't have his exclusive piece on, so it's kind of hard to say. But he should be getting us the stuns from this range. Here he comes. He's got 1, 2. Way worse. 3. Way worse. Let's try one more time. Try one more time, and then we are definitely moving on. Alright. Broke here. We want to put down Percy, Eloin, Leia, Torodor up here. And then we're going to put down Salazar, Twyla, and then Volca. I will try to time it to this time a little bit so he gets his ult going before the saw comes up. That way he definitely has much more of a fair shot to see what's going on here. Let's start it now. Hopefully he stays in it the whole time. Okay, not bad, not bad. Stun already. Is his atrocious trample. 2 stuns. 3. It seems like we're getting about 3. So you can see that Rygar is definitely much more consistent about getting his stuns from 6 to 9, where Torodor is only getting about 3. Now that might go up if you put his exclusive weapon on, I think it is, or breastplate, and that might increase the amount of stun that he's going to be getting. It's an extra thing that you have to go through in order to increase the stun, and with Rygar, you're just getting that. Okay, now let's get on to the Guild Boss 1 testing, okay? We are going to set the baseline test with Torodor, and essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the fight, I'm going to do a time lapse, and then we'll come back and we'll see what the difference is. I am running Twyla. My original testing with this was not with Twyla. Silas will also not be getting an Invig buff. Not going to make much of a difference. Obviously, Hex are going to add some RNG. There's going to be a little bit of RNG here. But the key factor is how does he compare? How does Rygar compare? I do know that I do have to keep Torodor down on the field. I want to see how their damage differences line up compared to Rygar also being on the field, because Rygar is doing damage. Rygar is going to do, you know, roughly 3 times more damage than Torodor. So how is that going to equate down in the end instead of just what is his Lord bonus offering? Otherwise, I'd have to point him in the other direction and not let him hit anybody, which is obviously an option. But you know, we're not going to do that. We're just going to play it like you would a normal fight and then see what the results are. Alright, so I'm just going to leave you right now, and I'll see you right after this time lapse with the results. Alright, so we're coming right up on the end of the fight here. We're ending right around like 98 million. 98k, I mean. 98.3. And so it's not a bad run. We are running Twyla. She's A5. Salazar has A5. These heroes are all boosted up to the max right now. And so is Torodor. Torodor is actually A5 in this fight. Alright, so we have Hex coming in at 326. That's not too surprising. He's always scoring a little bit above 300 million at A5. And we have Twyla at 234. Very nice. We have Silas at 179. It's Salazar here at 93.9. And then we have Torodor at 51 million. And also Voka is coming in at 16.2 million damage. I'm going to go ahead and screenshot this and save it so I remember exactly how it is. Be right back. Alright, so I do now have that saved. 93.9 million coming out of Salazar is a little bit on the low end. There could possibly be some RNG, whatever in there. But we do have Torodor coming in at 51 million. And then Salazar at 93. So that's a good sign. Twyla, the reason I have Twyla and Salazar on the team is because Twyla just increases her damage. All of her damage is a basic attack. So when I decide to switch from Torodor to Rygar, all of that damage is going to have a 25% boost whenever his ultimate is going. Now you also have to keep in mind though that I'm definitely going to keep my main DPS unit within Laurel range on the team. I'm not going to switch Rygar down there in order to make up for, you know, whatever he has going on. But I do have these guys both geared very well. Just to show a comparison, we have Torodor right here. He's coming in at 20.7k attack and 322 crit damage, 1.8 second attack interval. He's a little slower than normal fighters because he's a defender, and 322 crit damage and a little bit of rage, 21.5% rage. And then he's in a tuning crystal. And for Rygar, I have him right here in a frigid flame. This is just trying to attempt to increase his damage. I think I'm going to put him into a Scarlet Hunt since we are running Twyla. And then the gear is going to be very similar. It's going to be Soul Arcana with Warlord set on the left side. Total attack is coming at 22.5k attack. He has a higher base. And then 1.5 second attack interval. Again, he has a nice lower attack speed. And then 344 crit damage. And he also has a much higher rage regen because his ult needs to be going much more often to take advantage of his lower bonus. So I'm going to make sure that he has a lot of rage. Alright, so let's get Rygar on the team here. He is Awakened level 0 compared to Torodor's Awakened 5. I am going to boost Rygar up completely, or at least to the Awakened level 3. And run a test again like that to see how much his damage increases and also the way the team's damage increases. So let's go into the fight and I will be right back after this time lapse. right? We're coming up on the end here at 99.2k blood. Almost identical. It's very close. We're not seeing much of a difference in total damage coming out of the two teams, but did it affect the basic attack damage of the two units that we're testing? And that's going to be Twyla and Salazar. And how did he do also on his own? Now, I will say that during the fight, it felt a little unorthodox. There was definitely some misalignments going on with Twyla. It has a little bit to do with the extra attacks that she's not getting. So she's losing rage regen by not being with Torodor. At the same time, every single one of her attacks gets that 25% boost. And that's really what we're here to test anyways. So Silas was a little off center when we were using Dolores or Laurel and cycling them in and out. But you can't play the fights the same. That is one thing you have to keep in mind too. You cannot play the guild boss fights the same. When you use a different lord with a different ability, of course your fights are not going to be equal. You need to try to optimize each one and then produce a number. Which lord performed the best? And that's what we're here to find out. Let's check out these stats. Okay, so we have Hex coming in at 325, and we have our Twyla coming in at 192. We have Silas coming in at 179. We have Rygar coming in at 115.7, and then we have Salazar all the way down to 83.6 million. Kind of a sad outcome, is it not? Well, I don't think, if I go and I look at the other screenshot, before we had, Hex was relatively the same. We had 325.3 out of here, 326.4 on the other run, and then Twyla was all the way up to 234.7 million with Torodor, and now she's down to 122 or 192.867. Silas was literally identical. We had 179 million on both ones, and then we have Salazar down 10.1 million on the run with Rygar, but Rygar is putting out an extra 67 million damage compared to Torodor. So whatever we were losing out of here, so we lost what? So we essentially lost 52 million coming out, or putting in Rygar versus Torodor, but we gained over 60, right around 55 to 60 million with Rygar's damage on his own, but having him on the field. Now, the RNG, the decreased defense, is a massive thing. This is a big problem with Rygar. His decreased defense is extremely inconsistent. Torodor's is going to be up there 100% of the fight, and that is going to make the difference and skew the numbers here. I could rerun the same fight over and over, and the decreased defense is going to make a difference. Like, Twyla may be able to hit 250 million if that decreased defense RNG is skyrocketed and he keeps getting that nice high defense. But I can go down to the 180, 190 million with her at the same point in time just because of the RNG. The RNG sucks. His decreased defense is extremely inconsistent. It's only going to be much more consistent when he goes into his ultimate, and that's when they're going to have the extra 25% damage. But at the same time, you know, it's just not up full time. You have to bring some kind of unit that's going to help you out, and maybe bringing along Yuri instead of Silas would be a better option, but she can't take advantage during her ultimate or the Rygar buff. That's something to take into consideration. She's only going to do really well with Torodor. The Rygar buff isn't going to help her unless she's not in her ult. So, well, that is kind of telling. I mean, the RNG is really bad. The extra damage from Rygar himself is pretty incredible as far as the Nightmare Lord goes. He's definitely over 2.3 times better than Torodor as a unit himself. As a unit himself, I would say he's about 2.3 times better. But is that going to make up for everybody else's damage falling as far as it did? But we also have to do another test, right? So I'm going to actually save this fight. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to awaken him and then see if the auto battle turns out different numbers. It's going to increase his ultimate duration by 10 seconds. I might have to do this manually just because of that change in timing, so we'll do it manually. The faction team members are going to have an extra attack speed of 20. Yeah, we have to definitely do it manually. And then he gets extra earthquakes at level 5. It increases the maximum brute strength attack by 2. I don't really need to see that in this fight, but I'll run the Awaken 3 to see with his full Lord bonuses, when his Lord bonuses all maxed out, how the other heroes fare. Now we have to remember that his damage was roughly 115 million, and it's pretty solid, but I'll go ahead and Awaken level 3, and I'll be right back. Alright, and just like that, snap of your fingers, here he is, Awaken level 3. So now we have the extra earthquake attacks, which is just going to help him. And then we have the increased faction team members attack speed by 20, which can help everybody on the faction. And the ultimate duration is going to increase by 10 seconds, which in theory should increase the amount of basic attack boost that they get by an extra roughly 20% more into that uptime. Alright, let's see here. Let's go into the fight, and I will do the same thing as I've been doing. I'm just going to go into do a manual auto fight, or a manual fight, and then I'll come right back after time lapse with the results. Alright, so here we are at the end of the fight. We got 104k blood. That's definitely an increase. We were looking at 99 before. Now the question is that from increase for our hero's damage, or is it an increase from his? He was at 115 before. Let's look at the results. Definitely a big increase from him here at 115 all the way up to 151.3. This is really good damage for a Lord on Guild Boss. I'm going to tell you right now, that is really, really good damage. For any Lord to be keeping up or coming close on tagging an A5 Silas, who's sitting at 178 million on this team. This is really good. Now you do see that Twyla's damage is up a little bit. She's still 15 million short from running with Torodor, so it's not quite the same as having Torodor on the team, but we are picking up an extra 100 million damage out of Rygar as long as you have him on the team. Now that could be from the RNG and the decreased defense as well. We still have Salazar sitting here at right around 84, 85 million. So it seems as if it's not making that big of a difference for him. which it should be. So it's kind of weird that it isn't. It probably has something to do with Salazar's ult being quick, very fast, short burst ultimate, and then it's over with. And he might have been ulted outside of Rygar's ultimate, so he's not getting that boost when he does his ultimate. But he can do a lot more damage with Torodor, and it seems like Twyla, as long as your Rygar is up to like the Awaken level 3, is going to do a lot better with Torodor as well. But that doesn't change the fact that we have a total higher score coming from the guild boss run in total. There's something to definitely keep in mind. But it is coming from Rygar's damage. That is exactly where it's coming from. We had like 99 million before. Roughly every 10 million is going to be about, what is it, 1k blood. And we're sitting at 104.6k. So it's almost all coming from Rygar in his own increased damage, which is valuable. It is valuable. As a fighter, he's a great unit. He can do some decent damage, at least matching Salazar A5 when he's A0, and then when he's A3, he's starting to catch up to a Salus range in damage, as long as he has his 35% boost from having faction allies. Alright, the other thing it's gonna have to try to check out here is going into APOC 1 again and checking out that invulnerable hit. You can check that out on the Titan Saw, I believe. I was able to see how long it takes for it to come back. So let's go ahead and check that out. I have an idea, and this is probably going to be the last thing that I test on him. Let's see, where is he at? Rygar, there you are. Let's get Twyla's gear back on. I don't think we're going to be running her in there, but just in case, might as well gear her up. And I think this is Carnelian. Well, here she is. We should be fine without her. We have Eloin and Leia. Everybody alive. And then this should work just fine. Let's go ahead and put him down. We are going to let the saw hit him. Right? And then see if there's any kind of visual indicator as well, whether or not he has that invulnerable stage going on. I'm not sure if there is. I have no idea if that's the case. I put Volker the other way just so they don't die too fast. And we'll leave Carnelian out of it. Okay, so he has... I can't really tell how much damage he took there yet. We'll put it on 2x. Not really seeing anything change on him. Let's see when this hits. Whatever is going on should go away. No, there's nothing there showing me. Okay, so he took damage. I see no visual. I'm not seeing a difference. Let me know if you guys see anything else going on in the comments. I'm not seeing anything here indicating that he is free of taking damage. All I am seeing him do is whack away. You definitely see he's hitting with the hammer now. One hammer. That should be stuns, right? You know, I don't know. Boy, when he's not in his ultimate, he's not doing anything outside of that ult. This is an interesting indicator, actually. Without that ultimate going, barely holding up decreased defense. Pops up every once in a while. I don't know. If you put the ultimate on, boom, boom, boom. Boy, does he go to town. Now he's just hitting with both. Got the decreased defense on, he's pumping out some stuns. Okay, interesting. Anyways, guys, I think that's it for the videos. I don't see any visual indicators showing that he is invulnerable for the next hit. All I am seeing is him just whack away and do his thing. So it looks like you're just gonna have to leave that up to RNG. Not that you'd have control of that in a lot of situations anyways. But anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember that only 30% of my viewers are subscribed. So I appreciate every single one of you. And also, don't forget to click on that notification bell so you know when I release videos like these. I am very excited for Rygar to come to the global servers. I think he's going to be a welcome addition. Although I think he might need a little help to make him worth that ancient exclusive title. But anyways, he's a really good unit. I look forward to having him if I can get him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep digging.